Hi, you guys. We're back tonight with JD Hollyfield. She just released her latest book, Blackstone, which is a forefathers novel. And she is here. Blackstone is in Kindle Unlimited, and it is $2.99. How are you?
Hi, guys.
How are you doing tonight?
We're good. We're good. Just putting all the kids to bed. So we're locking myself in my office and getting ready for the interview.
Yay. I'm so excited.
I know, me too.
Do you want to go ahead and start us off by talking about Blackstone?
Sure. So Blackstone was an idea that was created by fellow author Kay Webster, and she came to me as well as two other authors and said, hey, I have this really great idea. I think that we could create this story. It revolves around four fathers with four different genres. And the three other authors that she chose were different. They write a little bit different, whereas I write more contemporary. There's taboo, there's erotica, and there's dark thriller. So everybody got to go ahead and get their own feel with the book. And they wrote their own stories, but they all intertwine in their own certain way. So you'll get to my character, who is Trevor Blackstone, you'll get to hear about him in obviously my book and in throughout the rest of the series. But they say you could read them all out of order, that you don't have to read one to read all four. But I would always highly recommend reading them in order, because knowing all the little secret tidbits that are hidden within each book, it's awesome. So pretty much the whole concept of the story is they're naughty daddy stories, but with their own take on them.
That is so fun. I've never seen anybody do this, so I'm really excited to read it.
Yeah, it's very clever, and I think the whole concept is getting great reviews right now. Blackstone is the first book that releases, and Kingston, which is the next book. Every book releases 1 week from each other. So they just, and every week you get a little bit of each story. And by week 4, you guys are just going to be mind blown about how they all intertwine. So
that's so exciting. Okay. And I put a link. If y'all go to my bio, click on the link, go to my shop, and you can buy the story. The book.
Yeah, it's
okay.
I highly recommend it. Go get it. Run.
I hope so. I hope you don't not recommend it. Okay, we're going to go ahead and start with our questions. Have you ever fangirled over another author?
So, yes, I have. When I started reading, one of my favorite authors right now is Dorinda Jones. And she is not I want to say she's a unicorn author, because she doesn't go to a lot of signings. I know that she actually did one of the last Austin Book Fests. And I had a girlfriend go up to her and get a book signed, and she did a video and she signed it. And I literally was almost in tears, because I couldn't believe I had this book in my hands and it had her signature in it. She left me a note, and then she did a live video for me, and she's great. She has the Charlie Davidson series. It's considered paranormal, but it's humor and the writing is just flawless, and I would highly recommend it. So yes, she's definitely my fangirl moment.
That's awesome.
Love her.
Have you ever written fan fiction?
So I have not, no. And funny enough, I didn't even realize what fan fiction was until after Twilight. I think it was actually a few years ago when people started talking about fan Twilight that I figured out what it was. So no, I haven't.
I know a lot of authors did the Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah, so I never heard of it before, but it's on my list to try and play around with it.
I think it could be fun.
Yeah.
Have you ever lied to your editor about how much you had written?
I think that's a given. I think when any author gets close to their editing deadline, they try and I'm very common for giving the email just a few days in advance, being like, so do I have any leeway in my deadline? Can I get 4 hours, 7 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, possibly 2 days? So yes, I have done a little bit of fibbing, but I feel like I've done pretty well of making my deadlines. I'm always trying to skate past, giving I'm taking a few more hours than I should be, I guess, is my final answer.
I like it. Have you kept it a secret from anyone in your family or any of your friends that you are writing, that you're an author?
I would say, yeah. I started writing in 2014, and I don't think I came out and really told many people until 2016, to be honest.
Wow.
And it wasn't because I had told anybody. I think it just started popping up in news feeds or somebody would slip and say something. So there's still to this day where people are like, wait a minute, you write books? So I'm not very vocal about it in my personal life. It's just really something that I do keep within like the book world because I try and keep family and book stuff separate. So it's not a big talk.
I do. I keep it separate. I have two whole different profiles because I had an uncle comment on a picture I had commented on a cover. He's like, no one wants to see this. It was some guy with abs, I'm like, whoa. I was like, I think it's time to make a whole new profile.
Yeah,
Like,
when I started off, I actually started off on my personal page, and I realized that some of the stuff that I like wanted to share or wanted to promote, it wasn't anything that I don't think I wanted people from high school to see, or and that kind of falls into the line again of was I sharing my hobby with anybody? So that's when I created a actual author profile where I could just keep everything book stuff and I didn't have to like clutter family and high school and neighbors with all of book stuff because there's not everybody in the world wants to read, especially romance. So I separated it. So yeah.
it's mind-blowing. How can they not want to read all the time?
I know.
All right. Have you ever written your name wrong when you're reciting a book?
I have. I'm guilty of it. So my biggest experience is with book signings because you're very, very go, 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 go. You're talking and you're chatting and sometimes you kind of like in the moment. There's been times towards the end of the day I have signed characters' names. I have written wrong initials and I have just flat out started writing something and it looks nothing like any initial or signature should be. So there's been times where I've written, oh, I hope you enjoy Jack, and the character's name is Ian. So I'm like, oh, wrong book, toss it. So yeah, very guilty of it. At the end of a signing, I have like a pile like this big of like stuff that I have to just throw over my shoulder because it's wrong signature, it's sloppy, I don't even know what I've written. It's nerves too.
Have you ever based a character on yourself?
Have I ever based a character on myself? I would say I would go in between that. So anytime when you're writing something, I think that you write from experience. So when it comes to, romance and, love and, getting the short stick in relationships, I think that to be able to write that, you have to have some sort of past experience. And have I been duped before? Of course. I think everybody else has. And I think for a lot of people, maybe it's considered therapy, right? So you write all of these, oh, he duped me, but I won in the end because I wrote this amazing story about this man who ended up sweeping me off my feet. But in the beginning, my muse was that jerk in college who dumped me, or the guy from work. So I don't think that my characters are necessarily me, more or less, but I think that they are experiences of stuff that I've gone through because I think everybody's kind of had that like up and downs with relationship and love where they can like, you know, walk away from and have a story behind it. So I think that's where I would say character wise. But I haven't
Yeah, I can see
secretly
that.
written a tell all that you guys don't know about yet.
You did?
No, I said I secretly haven't. Like none of my books, if
Oh,
you look in small writing, they'll say this is
I was
my
like, wait a
secret tell all
minute.
about my life.
That's funny. Okay. Have you Googled any names for the male anatomy?
I have actually Googled more names for the female anatomy than I have the males.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I guess those are a little easier.
yeah, you know, when you're writing and you write so often, you kind of want to get a variety. And when you read a lot and you try and listen to your readers, and when they say, "Oh God, I'm so sick of this word. I'm so sick of that word. Why do you use this? Why do you use that?" So you want to be that author that doesn't use those words anymore, but you're just kind of stuck in a small variety of what you can call a certain body part. And so it's get creative, it's make up words and you just end up confusing the reader even more, or you stick to what they know. So I have done more Googling on how to rephrase a certain body part than I have a member part, if that makes sense.
It does. So, do you try to avoid the word moist?
Yes, I mean it's like author 101. Like if you want to get into this business, you have to read like the sign on the door. You're not allowed to use the word moist. All right, you welcome to the author world.
That's so funny. It doesn't even bother me. And I'm like, I'm
It
okay
doesn't,
with it. I get it.
yeah, I don't think it bothers me either. I think anytime I do read it, it's just the overall, oh, they use the word moist. Like, you know, I think it's the more the background concept of the word itself. But
Yeah,
you know, if I went back to some of my earlier work, I'm sure I would find the word in there before I came into such a huge deal of not to use it and, you know, whatnot. But I mean, it's just
that's
what.
funny. I want to start searching books for the word moist. Maybe I'll do a whole post on moist.
How many moists were in this book?
I like it. Okay. Have you tried any of the positions in your book before writing them?
So that's a really, really broad question, I feel like, because I think every writer has an imagination. So whether it's physically or mentally, I really don't know how to answer that question. So I'm gonna leave it kind of open. I think when I write those type of scenes, it's kind of like foreplay to your mind because it could be two things. It could possibly be out of experience, or it could be that you are just as guilty as the reader when you're like, oh wow, this is just so amazing. I want to be this chick right now, right? So maybe I'm just writing it also wanting to be this person in this position, thrown up against a wall, being ravaged by this alpha male. So I'm just going to leave that as an open-ended answer.
Your laugh. Okay. And I know the answer to this next question, but have you ever co-written a book?
I have, yes.
And I need to read that series. I've heard amazing things about it.
So I co-wrote with Kay Webster, and we wrote the Two Lovers series. It is a 3-book series, and it's considered rom-com. It was an awesome experience. We had a great time. It was funny. You know, we always chat about if we could have just even made a book out of all the outtakes, the stuff that never made it into any of the 3 books. Um, you know, with co-writing, you just really have to find your partner. And I've heard great experiences and I've heard about bad experiences that books that just really never make it to publishing just because it's, you know, it's hard. You know, you never realize that how different you are as a writer than somebody else until you try and combine a book together and have it run, you know, with one voice technically. So, and we hit it off. We did a great job. I think we did a great job. The books did really well. And, you know, we're hoping for future projects to continue on with our success with co-writing.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, excited.
Have you ever written under a secret pen name?
You know, I have not. And it's funny because in this industry, there are a lot of people, and, you know, like we were talking about before, a lot of people have lives, they have families, they've got jobs, and they have this secret, really great career, these talents of becoming writers and authors. And so when they get into this business, they do create pen names. And throughout the years of me meeting authors and whatnot, you know, you learn their names and you've been friends with these people for 5+ years. And all of a sudden one day you sit down and they say, oh, well, you realize my name's not Joy, right? And I'm like, excuse me? You mean our 5-year friendship has been a lie? You know, and it's funny because a lot of these people do have pen names, and it's to protect their families and their personal lives. And I never thought about that when I got into this business, and I wish I did, because I really wish I would have done something more like jazzy instead of, you know, my name, I guess. So no, I haven't written under a pen name. Do I wish I did? Yes, because it would have been a lot easier to separate lives. But I would have also thought of something like more unique, like Cassidy Jones. I don't know. It's just a cool pen name that I can walk around and be like, just undercover it half my life. So next time, it's on my bucket list. I need to fool somebody.
That's hilarious. Okay, this last one you actually kind of answered it, but have you had someone else's character make a cameo in your book?
So, no, I haven't. I would love to do it. There's been opportunities where I've wanted to take certain characters and throw them in. What I do a lot in my stories is, you know, when we talked about before, is anything related to my life? Well, it's technically yes. But a lot of the books that I write, the certain scenes, they are from like real life experiences. So sometimes I will add a scene into the book, and it really happened in my real life. So I like writing puns and scenarios and stuff like that. And certain friends, when they read it, it's really funny to them because they laugh about it, because they're like, oh my God, I was there in real life and this really did happen. When I wrote Life as We Know It, I dedicated the book to my best friend, Sarah, because it's about two best friends who just are troublemakers, and they are like, you know, like they're like no shit. Like they give no shits, and they just do all the stuff. And that's exactly how me and my best friend were. And some of the stuff is the real experiences, the real, like, you know, like back of a cop car, you know, like real life stuff. So I think I'm more into putting like life experiences in my books than actual like stealing other people's characters. But there's been a few books that I've read where I'm like, oh, can I just put this character in my new book? Because I can see them fitting well with some of my imaginary characters. So it's, again, on my list.
So it could be like a fan fiction of someone else's character in your book, and then you can knock two things off.
Exactly.
So you said you drew stuff from real world experiences. How much from Love Broken was real world?
I think
or real life?
With Love Broken, it was real life in regards to how Katie Beller compared how she felt at a book signing. And I think that sometimes, you know, we hear a lot that readers are so nervous to come up to these authors because they're like, oh my God, it's an author. She wrote my favorite book. And I think what readers sometimes forget is that the author is just as nervous or even more nervous than the reader is. And when these readers come up to these authors, they're like, oh my God, can I have your autograph? Can I hug you? Let's talk about your book and this and that. You know, I don't think that they ever take into consideration how nervous the author is, because that's a big deal for us too. And in Love Broken, Katie was just so overtaken by like the love of the readers, the obsession, like the industry and the community where people really come together and they love these books and they're just, you know, they make a life out of it. And she didn't realize like what she's got herself into. And I think sometimes when authors write books and they start attending like their signings, they just never realize like the love and like the build of these relationships that they make. So I think in that portion of the book, it was definitely like, you know, spot on, because obviously me as a writer, I was able to kind of portray myself at like in this book saying, oh my God, you guys are like so crazy. You know, how many authors just want to like vomit before a signing because they're insanely nervous. And I think that a lot of readers don't know that. So I think that was definitely spot on.
Well, I met you at the bar of a signing, just like at the beginning of that book. And I didn't even recognize you because I could have sworn you had blonde hair, which I'm still kind of, my mind is blown. I went back and I looked at your profile picture. I was like, no, no blonde hair. So,
No, never been blonde.
but so I was like, hey, how funny is that? So I really enjoyed that in the beginning because I just mentioned at the signing that I read it. I was like, hey, we met at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy because, you know, with Katie in Love Broken, she just never like realized how her words can inspire people. And I think that that is a big thing in this industry too. And I think it is, you know, so many great authors out there write these words and they inspire people. I mean, how many times, it's crazy how I see readers get tattoos of quotes and book titles and covers on their bodies because they're just so inspired by these books. And you know, I think that's something that Katie kind of tried to portray in the story, and something that's definitely in real life when you go to these things.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's it for our questions. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, and you guys make sure you go pick up Blackstone before the next one comes out.
Yay. Yeah, so Kingston releases on Monday, so everybody make sure to run out and get that. All books are releasing a week apart from each other, so it goes from the 2nd to the 23rd. So don't miss out.
Awesome. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Joy. Thanks for having me.
Have a good night.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for joining us, and check the links